It's about the lady in Mexico, the Canadian, that's stuck in a Mexico jail now. There you see John Iveson of the National Post, no justice for Brenda Martin in Mexico. You must admit, this is a sad, sad story. This lady, and I'm going to start off by saying she's been on suicide watch. It's not the same to be stuck in a Mexico jail as it is to be in a Canadian jail. That's the first thing we have to say. But the woman was arrested for money laundering and being involved in some scam from her former boss. A lot of unusual facts involving the woman's history with this boss. Apparently she lost her job first, then lo and behold, she was investing in his company and of course subsequently arrested by the cops with unsavory dealings. But the bottom line is here, she's stuck in this prison. One of the complaints she has here is that she wasn't given an interpreter. She wasn't even given an English-speaking lawyer. She was basically spoken to in Spanish, given some document in that country to sign, which is puzzling to me because she went ahead and signed it anyway. And apparently, according to this article, it was a confession of guilt. We're looking at also the guy who wrote this article, John Iveson, because he's actually suggesting that if we don't get a response, that perhaps it's time for Canada to maybe issue some kind of a statement telling Canadians not to go over there for holiday. I mean, this is not a hard a boycott being implemented here, but it's basically what you would call a call to a boycott, to boycott that country.
Yeah, you know, and I think if you look at the government's websites, they are already warning you that, you know, when you go to Mexico in particular...
You're in Mexico.
You're going to be, you know, under a regime where there have been some off-color dealings and you may be finding yourself in the midst of them. So, you know, sort of traveler beware. You know, there are good reasons why countries...
Yes, traveler beware.
Yeah, there are good reasons why things are cheap in other countries. They're cheap because they don't have the kind of society we have here in Canada. It's expensive to buy a Coca-Cola in Canada because we have a great country.
Yes.
And it's cheap in some third world nations to buy jewelry and clothes and etc. and just lie on the beach precisely because you don't have that quality of life. You don't have the civility that we have in North America.
Well,
comes at a high price.
May I object a little bit to that? I think you're looking at it, I don't blame you, but you are looking at it through Western eyes.
Sure.
They don't look that way. To them, your attitude and my attitude might be equally offensive, you know.
You know, look at Canada, look at the United States, look at Britain, and then look at the rest of the world. Perhaps there are, you know, Germany, etc. But most of the world is not like the country we're used to living in.
True.
We're becoming aware of these countries because television cameras now are going to them and showing people living, and they look the same on TV. They've got cities and cars, and maybe the cars aren't as nice. We figure they're a bit poorer. But, you know, poverty has a root in something that's much deeper, and it's a philosophical thing. It's, you know, the Canadian and American and British way of life is founded on a philosophical basis, a belief about the meaning of life, about the nature of reality, about the role of things like religion and clubs and collectives and etc., and the separation of those things from the proper governance of the state, the belief that government has a limited role, not an unlimited role. And so, you know, I think we're just starting to wake up, perhaps, to the fact, and hopefully we'll understand the fact that...
articles like this
that we need
to the surface.
That's right. We need to remember that we're very lucky to be living in a philosophically superior... I look through Western eyes. I say I look through, you know, unblemished eyes.
Yes.
And I say...
In some cases, rose lenses.
Well, no, that's the beauty. I think in North America, Westerners, you know, people who advocate the Western way of life, have managed like no one else on earth to pull those rose lenses off. And that's hopefully what the TV will function to do in those other countries as well.
Right, hopefully. We're going to go for a break now. We'll be back to you on the phone lines after this. Stay tuned. And a new point has cropped up in today's news. I don't even know now. I'm pouncing it on you whether you've seen it. But this boss, you've seen it. This former boss that she worked for and that she got implicated in this whole mess with is now saying that the Mexican government is keeping her prisoner because they want $500,000 that he promised them when he was released. Yeah. And if they pay that, then she'll get released. Did you buy this?
Oh,
Do you believe that?
I don't believe anything I don't have evidence of, but
Well, of course not. You're a lawyer. That's right.
but I would certainly not write it off as impossible. No way.
I'm not sure I buy that $500,000 is the reason why they're keeping her there. However, I do buy the argument that if you were to bribe these people $500,000 and say, well, will you let her go for $500,000? I have the feeling they will. To say that's the reason they're holding her is a different story than saying, if I were to bribe these people, would they let her go? Because they probably will.
I strongly encourage anyone who wants to use their own money to test that theory to do so.
They can go ahead and do so.
But I don't want the government of Canada to be spending my money on it.